Bart, are you good to go?
Yeah, whenever you're
All right.
ready, we can go.
Welcome back, Marty.
It's 7 p.m. Thank you. Good to be back. Good to see you guys.
Welcome back.
So we will call to order the Town of Farragut Visual Resources Review Board meeting. This is actually the November meeting that we're holding in December, because unfortunately we didn't have a quorum last month, and so I guess we'll start by apologizing for that. It does happen sometimes that schedules get in the way, and thankfully we could get together tonight. We do have a quorum, so we will be able to continue. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the October 2023 meeting.
Motion approved.
A
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we have a staff report for some wall sign applications approved since the last meeting.
Okay. Only a few this past month. I didn't update it for this meeting. I just sort of, kept it consistent on the month. So, Harside Bank, you've seen this one before, but they actually changed the color scheme of the lettering. So they're now going with that blue. It's fine. It'll look good on the building. It's just they changed their mind after their initial permit. Fit Body Boot Camp, they're getting a channel letter sign put up, black lettering and white at night. It's sort of, it's called day night vinyl. It looks black during the day, and then at night when the light shines through it, it's white.
Wow, interesting.
And that's it.
All right, any questions on those from anybody? Thank you, Bart. We'll move on down to the ground-mounted sign applications. Our first one is Powell's Automotive, located at 314 North Watt Road.
Okay. This is a new ground-mounted sign for the auto repair. Powell's. They've got another location out. I think it's out Clinton Highway, although I wouldn't swear to that. Where they do both sales and repair. This can be strictly a repair shop at this location. The sign meets all the physical parameters now. They're putting a brick base under it. The building's going to be remodeled, and they're going to put a lot of brick on the front, and to try to bring it closer into conformance. It's an old building. It's an old block building. They're going to be making some improvements to it. They're also putting a small addition on it. One thing that needs to be updated for approval is this original site plan was based on the developer's initial site plan for the expansion. They're now going to do something slightly different. What they had been planning up here as an addition and some changes to the parking lot, they're actually going to put the addition at the rear, and it's going to be more linear. It's across the back, and I need them to update this site plan to show it on the site plan they're actually going to use, in part because they're going to connect a sidewalk from the existing sidewalk here up into the parking lot and across to the front door, and I want to make sure it's not going to conflict with where they're proposing to put their sign location. So, subject to them updating that site plan to match the one. This was originally presented to the Planning Commission, I think, but now they're coming back with a change. So I just want to make sure the site plan for the sign matches the site plan that runs through the Planning Commission for the improvement. Okay, there's not another slide for that one. So subject to that being updated, and the landscape, they got the landscaping. It's hard to see on there, but it's called out for around the sign. So basically, I need them to, I think the setbacks on the sign will be the same. They just may have to move it a little bit to the south, sort of, down Watt Road, just to avoid the sidewalk where it's coming in. But subject to their site plan being updated, I can recommend approval of it. I'll go back. You can look at the sign itself.
All right, do you have any questions or comments for the staff? All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Does that motion have a subject to with it?
Subject to the update to your
The site plan.
site plan.
All right, we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move down to Hearthside Bank, located at 11140 Kingston Pike.
Okay, this is the ground sign for the Hearth side that you just saw. Again, it's an existing sign that they're updating. They're putting a new face on it. They're gonna take the brick base that's there now and they're going to paint it gray to match the building, which is required, so that's good. Site plan, it's existing. It's sort of an odd lot. It runs well out towards the road because there's a taper in there, but they meet their setbacks. And later on tonight, we'll look at the larger landscape plan, but here's the section of the landscape plan sheet that covers the sign, so all the landscaping will be in conformance. So staff can recommend approval of it. Sign, so you can see it if you have any questions on the,
No subject tos on this one?
nope, they got everything they need on this one.
Okay.
All right, any questions or comments for staff? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving down to Current Water Sports, located at 11221 Outlet Drive.
Okay, this is out there at the old outlet mall building. Cytel's in there now. They've also added this boat sales facility there. You know, it's across from Cotton Eye Joe's, or in that general area. It's an existing sign that's out there that they're updating again. It actually already was put in without a permit, so they would double feed for the permit. It meets the setbacks, because again, it's an existing permitted sign. The one thing that I can recommend that I'm subject to, what I need, or what I think they should have to do is raise the grade in this area when they do their landscaping. You're not supposed to be able to see the support poles or anything under the base. And, you know, that's an existing base. You know, the building is a metal building. It's sort of a metal screen. But, you know, you can see under this front portion of it, and you can see the support poles. So, subject to them raising the grade up here, so, you know, nothing's visible under the existing base. I can recommend approval of it, or staff can recommend approval.
They're okay with that, right? I mean,
Yeah, I spoke to the sign company, and they let the owners know that. And, you know, it'll be, you know, basically, there's no landscaping around there right now, anyway, except for the
no,
grass.
it's bare.
Yeah, you know, so they're gonna have to plant the bushes
Shrub, yeah.
and the
Olive.
shrubs and all. So, you know, they can go back in there and they can, you know,
Build it up.
yeah, kind of backfill that a little bit and just tidy that up, or, you know, maybe put some landscape rocks on the front to hold the soil back, but, and we'll make sure they get that done as part of the permitting.
I think you answered really my question, is that they can solve it in multiple ways as long as
Yeah.
it's not exposed.
Yeah, they could, for that matter, they could extend the base down.
Put a skirt on it or something.
Yeah, yeah, more
that
skirting,
matches
but,
the
you know, but
material.
that's all existing. You know, really, you know, the sign completely exists as it is now. So, you know, from my standpoint and being out there looking at it, and the fact that they're gonna have to plant some shrubs anyway, probably the easiest thing to do is just, you know, raise that grade up a little bit and
Okay.
just hide it that way.
All right, makes sense.
And now, you said you talked to him, or somebody's talked to him. Did they talk to the owner of the company or to the
Sign
property
co-
owner?
The sign company's been talking to, you know, whoever the applicant is.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, I don't care if the property owner does it or Current Water Sports does it. I mean, they're the only ones on their sign, so you would think they would take care of that.
Yeah. I believe I would talk with the property owner on that. Just,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be subject to, so if it doesn't get done, they'll get fined.
Okay.
You talking about the property owner or the applicant?
The property, I would talk with the property owner, because that's kind of a,
Leased property, it's leased though,
yeah,
correct?
it's a restricted
Yeah,
deal. I'm surprised he put a sign up without coming to us first, but
it's been up for almost a month.
yeah, it has. Do we know if Cox Furniture's putting a sign up as well?
Haven't gotten any requests for any other signs out
Okay.
there, so.
Okay.
And there aren't any other signs, there aren't any other ground signs, physically in place.
Existing already? Okay.
So any new ones would have to be, physically constructed and installed. And in this case, they really just reface an existing sign.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
I have no more questions. I'll move to approve, as long as they meet the subject twos.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moving down to Grigsby Park Development located off Grigsby Chapel Road. This is a permanent ground-mounted subdivision sign.
So this will be at the, the new development there that's going in off Grigsby Chapel Road. There next to the Universalist Unitarian Church. It's phase one of the development, but the sign obviously would be for the whole development. It's kind of a decorative wall feature at the entranceway, and then the sign is on it. When they do signs like that, we treat it like a wall sign, so we measure the area of the sign and not the entire wall. And so they have their landscaping all included on this. That's all in place. The only thing I need on this is a little more detail on the actual sign face. It's going to be black lettered, and it's going to be on a Crab Orchard flagstone inset panel. So, this lighter tan color there, that'll be an inset panel of apparently Crab Orchard flagstone with black lettering on it. So it should look good. I just, want that verified as to what that panel's made out of. I got an email from the applicant of what they're gonna do there, but, just an extra little detail sheet to go with the plan. But apart from that, it complies with all our standards. It meets the setbacks. It's got all the landscaping it needs. It meets the area requirements. It's going to be spot lit, and the lights there are less than our 850 lumen, requirement or max. So it should be a good looking sign. It's only going to be on, well, actually it's on both sides there. You can see, so they'll have them flanking.
Yeah, the retaining wall looks good.
Yeah.
LED lights?
I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to look at that detail, but, I just care about how bright they are.
Did it say LED?
Most lights now are LED. I can't imagine there'd be anything else.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at my little Surface Pro, so. Oh. No. That's okay. That's okay. It's really the intensity of light that we're concerned with. And that they're pointed correctly, but we check that in the field too, to make sure that, if they're shining a little bit into the road, they have to either shield them or just, kind of rotate the light, so it's not a problem.
Appears to be adjustable base.
How many units are going into that Grigsby Park in the phase one? Do you recall?
Not off the top of my head.
14?
17, but
17.
there's a couple that will be added, that had to, that won't be constructed right away because they had to put a temporary turnaround in for fire access.
Right.
Because the road dead ends there, right where that drainage comes through.
Retention pond is there.
Yeah, so there are, there's 2 or 3 units that won't be built right off the bat.
Well, that's good looking signage in my opinion for a, smaller development.
It'll be up on the hill a little bit because, there's a rise
Yeah.
there on both
Yep.
sides, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for staff?
No more comments.
And do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve with the subject to.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that moves us down to the landscape plans, and so we are back to Hearthside Bank located at 11140 Kingston Pike.
Okay, it's a fairly intensive plan. They're basically redoing the landscaping on the entire side. I don't know if you've been by there in the past couple days or week and a half or so. They've taken everything out. They had an arborist come in and evaluate the trees that were on site already, and they were all in really poor condition. They hadn't been properly maintained. Some of them hadn't been planted right, and their roots were just basically girdling themselves. And there was bad pruning. Just they were a mess. So they're a lot of the existing trees are being taken out. The exception is over here along the west property line. Some of those are being kept, but everything at the front and down the sides is being taken out. That evergreen hedge was being taken out as well. They're going to irrigate it all, and I was over there today. That they're putting in the irrigation, and then they're going to re-landscape it with a mix of trees and shrubs and some lower growing things. So
How many they take out and how many are we adding?
oh, I don't have an exact count. It's listed on there, but they actually have more trees on the site than they need based on.
Oh, they're over treed, okay.
Well, but, based on what our requirements would be, they're in good shape. They meet all of the requirements for the distance between shade trees and parking spaces. They have the right number of shade trees in the front and actually more trees on the site than they actually.
6
require.
removed and 14 installed.
So, staff can recommend approval of it. It meets all our standards.
Bart, the trees that are on I guess it would be the back side of the plan, that's the side where you really enter and exit from, right? Opposite of Kingston Pike?
Yeah, yeah.
Are they,
Yeah, this entranceway here is actually a private easement that goes back into the larger development. And as you all know, there's a good grade increase here between Kingston Pike and where the parking lot is. So this runs up slope this way, and really the entrance is here and here.
and there's, I suspect not a large amount of traffic through there, but those trees or whatever's planted there, which I can't tell from here, they're going to be non-obstructive to the view when you're pulling in and out?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And they'll be limbed up too, as they're being, as they grow, they can prune them up. And that's one of the requirements of our shade tree is that it has to be a species that lends itself to, that sort of pruning to raise the canopy as the tree grows.
That was one of the issues with the existing trees that were there.
Well,
Hadn't been done.
and the ones here were all planted poorly and had girdling roots and were, not doing well anyway. So they took all these out, but there were trees in these locations. So they're not, they're putting those back. There weren't as many trees down the side here as there will be now. Then they're adding a tree here, and maintaining the ones that are over here by the dumpster and that run down there between the bank, so. And staff can recommend approval. It meets all the town standards.
All right. Any other questions or comments for staff? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next landscape plan is Dollar General and Advanced Auto Parts, going to be located on Kingston Pike. Guess we don't have an address yet for it, so far west part of the town.
There we go. So, this is sort of a dual store development. I think it's eventually going to be subdivided into two separate lots, but controlled by the same overall property owners, and then easements for shared access in and out. So you got Dollar General, Advanced Auto Parts, and a little more detail. They broke their detail sheets up into the Dollar General half and the Advanced Auto Parts half. So we've got an overall sheet that, so you can see generally how the landscaping's going to fit. And then a little more detail there with the plant lists on what's going where and the different species. They've, again, they had shade tree requirements, both in terms of the number of shade trees and also getting the separation between the shade trees and parking lots. They also had some issues to contend with some overhead power lines in here, but they did a good job of downsizing some species. They did a couple of substitutions, which they're allowed to do a certain percentage of substitutions for slightly smaller trees in that circumstance. They're doing quite a bit of landscaping here at the back as well, although this drops down to the creek behind. And then on the Advanced Auto side, it's kind of a mirror that goes across. This plan also, we work with the landscape architect that was working on it. He made all the changes that were necessary and clarified, so the plan conforms with all the town standards, and we can recommend approval of it. I'll go back to the main sheet to get that sort of overall feel for the way it'll be landscaped.
Any questions or comments for staff?
I'm curious, not critically at all, only out of curiosity, what study showed that another Dollar General would be that close to the, I'm more fascinated by that, curious. Is it a
There's a
is it
representative of the
population? I'm really
project here.
curious.
I,
Yeah,
as well as I can.
I'm very interested.
15 years with Dollar General through our.
Hey, Tim, can you go up to the?
Yeah, actually, yeah, can you go to the,
so
I think it'd be good
to
education.
understand that there are
Well-
more Dollar General stores in the US than there are McDonald's, Walmarts, and Targets combined.
Yeah, I saw that, John, whatever his name is.
John
shows-
Oliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
that's
not very pro, Dollar General, I'll just say. And honestly, some of his points, I'm not
And I
gonna,
am pro. We love
I'm not gonna,
Sure do, yeah.
and I'm not either. I was surprised with some of the stuff he did bring to light, honestly, on the employment side. So, that part, I think there's a lot of corporations are guilty of that sort of activity,
Sure.
but anyway, Dollar General, my name's Tim Dunaway, I'm with JMB Investment Company. We've been developing these for, like I say, 10 or 12 years, and they have a marketing division, all I know to tell you, that they do extensive studies of rooftops, the number of business area, the traffic count, of course, east and west. This particular one, we were astonished as you were that they wanted to be here, but as they did traffic counts. The westbound traffic, of course, catches the earlier store we did 2 miles down the road.
Right.
They had enough need and market for the eastbound traffic to do what you see in front of you. That's pretty
So
much
that's what
it.
they're saying is it's the direction of traffic, essentially. You're not catching those eastbound.
And honestly, in Kingston Pike, if I was going either direction, I would not want to cross it to make a left
No.
into either of those if there's one on my side.
Hadn't thought about that, but that's interesting. Right.
I don't have any better explanation for it than that. It's logic, and I will say this, that as astonishing as they all are, as close as some of them are, we have some even closer than this.
Wow,
Jeez.
I've never had a store fail. They are all successful in the spots they choose.
wow.
I'm just thankful that you guys will be the ones keeping up the
The landscape.
foliage and landscaping.
Yeah, this round, my boss, Jason Brown, made sure that the lease had some language in it at Mark Shipley's insistence. Well, at his discussion, he offered to Mark Shipley to put some lease language in there that takes the responsibility off of Dollar General corporate, keeps it on the property owner because they weren't tending business, obviously. I think they finally strong-armed them into fixing what they had problems with at the earlier store. We didn't own that store, so we unfortunately couldn't get through to a lot of people over there, but I think they finally got it corrected. But this one will be, the language for both the leases, Advance and Dollar General, are, I believe, are written to where we can take control of that if we need to keep them out of trouble. So it's unfortunate. That's one of their negatives. Their landscaping maintenance. They're obviously not a high-budget building and landscape and site maintenance type of company, but when they enter a town like this and the requirements are so plain on the front end, they need to do it differently. So we're trying to encourage them to do that.
This will be sprinkled, right?
Yeah, so the irrigation plans weren't in your packet, but they were in the original submission. They're part of the landscaping bids that I'm getting, so
Okay, thank you.
we
Thank
definitely
you
have
for
to
being
water
here
those trees.
And for sharing the insight. It'd be interesting to see maybe a year from now how they're competing.
Yeah, they do study that. They'll want to see how much, I forget what the term is, the marketing term that robs from the other store, cannibalism, that's it.
Cannibalism, right.
Yeah. They'll make a study of it, and they probably already have projected amounts, and they're going to see if they hit them. Their marketing department is a pretty big deal. They obviously are successful at it, so.
Sure, yeah. Thank you for sharing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You being here.
Any other questions for staff or comments? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll motion for approval.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hey, before we
Alright.
go on to the next item, I just wanted to jump back real quick. There was a second sheet on the Hearthside Bank that showed some of the understory planting that they're doing, the screening and some of the shrubs and other plantings they're gonna put in under the trees on that landscape plan, so.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to
Oh, that's good.
see
Yeah.
that as well. You know, there is a requirement for a certain amount of screening of parking, and even though that's upslope, they are taking care of that, you know, because they're taking out that hedge of evergreen that was there, so.
Boxwood.
I think they might, well, some of them were used, I think, and.
Yeah, yeah.
But, same with same with this development, when you look at the details, they've got understory plantings and shrubs and landscape beds that go along with it, so. Okay.
Okay.
Last
item,
Last
Dunkin'
plan,
Donuts
yeah.
located at 13038 Kingston Pike. So, we just talked about if this is going to be an additional one. Advanced Auto Parts is an additional compared to Lovell Road. We got Dollar General as an addition, so
Another Dunkin' Donuts.
another Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah, store
apparently.
number
So-
2.
So, you all familiar where this is? It's out there, right next to Dixie Lee Liquor, and in front of the Ice-Arium. And it's gonna have a drive-through. There's another lot here that could be developed, have this entranceway, but this is the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. They'll come in this way, come around, obviously, and so this is the landscaping plan for it. It meets most of our requirements. The only thing that I think they could add a little bit is a little bit more screening perhaps up in here to, for the drive-through lane. So when I was going back and forth with the landscape architect, I might have, gotten him a little confused as to, what he needed to do, because originally he had the whole front screened, and I explained that, you don't have to have all of it, just 60% of the parking spaces, and you might have taken the parking spaces, just as the spaces as opposed to some of the traffic aisles as well. So I think he's got some here, low shrubs, probably could add a little more right in this area, just to help screen cars that might be stacked up there in the morning at the drive-through. But apart from that minor addition to the plan, it meets all our standards, and we can kind of recommend approval of it. And the screening doesn't have to be fully screened. It's more just so that it kind of softens up the look. So, 3 to 4, or really, maybe 2.5 to 3 feet high. Just, like a clump of shrubs right in here would probably do a good job of screening the cars, or at least breaking the cars up that might be queued up. Because here's where the where the drive-through will be in the order window will be right in this area, so we thought that needed to be added just a little bit more there, because they're supposed to have 60% of the linear distance of the parking lot, screened that way, kind of a low screening treatment with shrubs and grasses and that sort of thing, so.
On that, where you have almost on the corner, I think it's at Kingston Pike where they've got that willow oak. Is that enough space in there for that willow oak? They tend to get kind of broad when they mature.
Here?
Yes, that one.
I mean,
I know it's permissible, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like it would be a first choice.
I think as long as it's limbed, it'll be tall enough to not be an issue.
Yeah. That was just a question. I mean,
it's
Curiosity
sort of
more
a, it's
than
sort of a
anything.
terminal landscape island here, because you've got angled parking right here. And so this is kind of a terminal island, so that's all green space in there with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if they trim it properly, I mean, Patrick Beasley, the landscape architect, he does a fair number of plans out here. I don't think he would have put it there if he didn't think it was doable.
yeah, that's the only thing I've really caught my attention.
So it sounds like what you're proposing be added, it really will be no issue, because you said they had more there to begin with, so adding just a few more little things,
Yeah.
no issue to the
Yeah, see
applicant.
how he sort of has a cluster of shrubs here
Mhm.
that'll, block part of it in this way. And, if you could just scatter some in under the trees in there to sort of kind of meet that 60% and just sort of soften up, the line of cars that's probably going to be sitting there in the morning. And
All right.
if it's dark too, the headlights coming out.
Is this a drive-through only location, or does it have,
I don't recall
it
from
is.
looking at the site plan. I think it's principally a drive-through, but they do have some parking spots, so I assume they'll have some people go
have
in.
many
and
No,
Pick
it's
up
going
too.
to have a walk-in
Yeah.
I was
counter,
thinking
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I just passed, there's a Dunkin' Express, Strawberry Plains.
Uh-huh.
Maybe what this is, and it's a small, just a walk-in counter,
Yeah.
couple of employees, but it's mostly a
so
drive-through.
walk in, but there's really no seating?
No,
Just go out?
not that, if that's what this is.
That's what it kind of looks like.
It does look like that. I mean, it looks pretty small.
Yeah, no, it's a small building, but, but there's, there is on-site parking. It's not
Yeah.
solely a drive-through, so.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments for staff?
It owns just about take up the staff parking.
That's right.
I mean,
All right, so we have a motion?
yeah, motion to approve,
That,
With the
subject to, yeah, of course. Sorry.
Right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that's the agenda items. Is there anything else we need to cover tonight?
I put one thing on here is just, formally what you want to do about the December meeting. I don't know if we're going to have a quorum the day after Christmas, so if you want to cancel
Afraid
that.
I'm not.
so
I guess.
I'll-
We usually kind of step aside for the board meeting, and I think we probably ought to do that.
So
Very-
do you need
very-
a motion to postpone or cancel
Yeah,
December
why not?
meeting?
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'll make a motion
You
to
got the
cancel
motion.
December's
Second.
meeting.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't think I'd hear an opposition, so. What we do every year, so that's normal.
Yeah, it's
All
See
right,
you next month.
that's
Merry
right. It
Christmas.
will be next month. Merry Christmas to all.
be January.
With that, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.